7 Days of Wisdom, episode 39. We're in full effect. Sunday, August 21st, 2016, 8:53 p.m. Let's get going. We have a lot to cover today, so it may be a long show. So, let's start off early last week, Tuesday. I finally got the chance to watch Tony Robbins' documentary, I Am Not Your Guru, which was recommended to me by one of my older sisters. Thank you. I remember seeing it on Netflix, just seeing the cover. I just never got a chance to really sit down, watch it, absorb it. I had no idea Tony Robbins was such a raw dude. And I actually admire and respect that. Just his ability to cut through the nonsense is an interesting thing to watch and see in real up close and personal, up close front and personal. It's just a nice thing to see. There's a lot of BS going on, a lot of nonsense. So seeing someone of his stature being able to just be so raw, cutthroat, to the point, unpolitically correct is refreshing. So I just wanted to share that. So what did I learn? What did I learn from watching the documentary? I learned a lot, and we're actually going to go through all of the insight that I personally extracted, that I personally was able to identify with and resonate with. And the first thing is, we all get what we tolerate. And just so you know, all of this is on my timeline on Facebook, so if you're looking at this, you need a reference point, just go to my Facebook page. It's on my timeline. These are all posts recapping from the week, things that I posted up. So, follow along there. We all get what we tolerate. Makes sense, doesn't it? Why tolerate less than we can be, less than we can do, less than we can share, less than we can give? Why? Why tolerate? Why continue to tolerate what it is we don't really have to? So we get what we tolerate. If we don't tolerate it, then we don't get it. We just keep moving. If we don't tolerate the nonsense, we don't get the nonsense. So let's think and reflect. A lot of what's going on in our lives now, why is it going on? Do we tolerate it or do we not tolerate it? Most likely we tolerate it. That's the only reason why it continues to exist in our lives, is because we tolerate it. Moving on, our nervous system tells us the truth. Tony Robbins, yes it does. Our nervous system tells us the truth, whether or not we would like to admit it, it does. When we're feeling a certain emotion a certain way, our stomach tightens up, our heart drops, we begin to sweat. Our nervous system tells us the truth. Our body tells us the truth. So what is our body saying in certain situations? When we're feeling pain, pain is difficult, but it's important. It's important. It's important not to feel what's natural. So our body feeling certain things, our nervous system telling us certain things, it's natural. So let's listen. What is our body telling us? What is our nervous system telling us? It's time to sit back and listen. Next, rejection breeds obsession. This is something I actually included in a video that I did, and we'll get to the video later on, a little bit later. But rejection breeds obsession. Tony Robbins. Why does How does rejection make you feel? Everyone reacts to rejection differently. Some people may channel that rejection and use that energy towards becoming successful. Some people may negatively take that rejection and use it towards engaging in activities that aren't so positive, that are negative. Maybe drugs, addiction. So there are multiple ways that we can utilize rejection. But either way, it breeds obsession. Whether we're obsessed with the wrong thing, we become obsessed with doing the wrong thing, or we become obsessed with doing whatever we feel would make us better. Rejection breeds obsession. When we think about some of the greatest in the world that have ever done what they've achieved and accomplished, we think of Michael Jordan, we think of Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. These are all people who have endured some level of rejection and have taken that rejection and channeled it in a way where they use that energy and devote it to achieving success. So if we're going to allow rejection to breed obsession, we might as well be obsessed with what is in our best interest. I know that when I experience rejection, I love rejection actually. I use that rejection as fuel towards my ambition to succeed. So I love being told no. I love being told that I can't do something. I love being told I can't achieve something. In fact, a quick story, when I was in the 5th grade, graduated to 6th grade, I may have shared this before, but this is one of the examples in my life that I always revisit when it comes to rejection. I graduated 5th grade, and to my knowledge, I didn't make honors classes going into junior high school. I saw that I was in regular classes, and in 5th grade, I consider myself to be somewhat of a stellar student, 4th grade, 5th grade, pretty much all throughout school. And I knew that I was capable of being amongst the best. And I was really upset when I found out that I didn't make it into honors classes for my 6th grade year. And I felt the need to prove myself, because in a way I felt as though I was rejected. So all of 6th grade, all of my 6th grade school year, all of this 6th grade school year, all of my 6th grade school year, I felt the need to prove myself. So I just worked hard, studied hard, and each and every semester I achieved high honor roll, which was the highest honor roll you can possibly achieve. And I had a very successful school year, and I did achieve my goal of proving that I was worth being in honors classes. So in the 7th grade, I made it into honors classes, 705, Blue Jays, and then I just clowned around for 7th and 8th grade. But the moral of this story is, I achieved my goal, I proved what I had to prove, because I felt as though I was rejected from being where I knew I could be. So, for anyone out there, if you want to challenge me, say I can't do something, and I will work very, very hard to prove you wrong. So yeah, quick story, going back about, almost 20 years, maybe like 17, 18 years. So next, off the topic of rejection, moving on to trauma. Focus less on the trauma, focus more on the transformation. This is something that was said by one of the members of Tony Robbins' team, actually. Um, and reflecting back on the video, it's very interesting just to see Tony Robbins' infrastructure of his seminars and how he has everything set up. It's sort of like they're literally counselors, like life that save lives. Like he has his team set up, his group set up. They do breakout sessions, and then a big session with Tony Robbins. They address problems, and they're literally saving lives. So it's a very huge thing to witness when you see how Tony Robbins has his seminars set up, his team set up, his whole business structure set up. It's really based around transformation and saving lives. So transformation is everything. Whatever we're going through in life, whatever the trauma may be, I feel as though, and I resonate with this as well, it's always important to focus on the transformation as opposed to focusing on the trauma. It's always important to focus on the solution as opposed to focusing on the problem, right? Let's focus on the solution. Let's focus on the transformation. Let's focus on how we can make things better. Let's focus on how we can make our lives better. Next up, authenticity leads to a rich life. It's from Tony Robbins. And it's true, when we're authentic with ourselves, when we're true to ourselves, we have such a rich life. Because we are in our element, we are in our zone, we are not living according to anyone else's expectations or social standards. We're comfortable with ourselves, and we are at one with our truest, most authentic nature. So why not allow our most authentic self the space it deserves to shine? Sometimes it's a matter of getting in touch with what that most authentic self is. So what is that most authentic self? What does that most authentic self look like? Have you thought of that? Have we thought of that? What does authenticity to us look like? Have we allowed ourselves peace, quiet, silence to really freeze out all of the distractions in the outer world that we see and that we invite into our world day to day? Have we made time to tap into the potential of our true authenticity? These are all questions that we should be asking ourselves. A lot of times we have never really made the time to ask ourselves the questions that need to be asked. So why not tap into our authentic nature? What's stopping us from tapping into what makes us us and what leads to a rich life? Because once we do this, then then we will really start to begin seeing the wealth, the abundance that we have access to. Next up, life is growth. Tony Robbins, life is growth. Are you fearing your own growth potential? Why? Sometimes we fear our natural ability to grow, and we fear opportunities. We fear moving on. We fear new spaces and challenges that can make us better people. Why is this? Life is growth. Why fear growth? Why fear what's natural? Again, growth is natural. Don't fear growth. Life is growth. Tony Robbins. The next one up is pretty long. Our questions determine our focus. Our focus determines our feelings. Our feelings determine our experience of life. This is right from Tony Robbins as well. And this goes back to questioning life and questioning growth and questioning what it is that can make us better human beings. Because when we question, when we throw those questions out there in the world, out there in the universe, we begin to focus on those questions. And it's only a matter of time that the answers to those questions come floating right back to us. It's like a boomerang. We throw out a question, it's only a matter of time before the boomerang comes back to us with an answer, right? So let's start throwing out those boomerangs, throwing out those questions, just throwing it out to the universe. Patience, practice patience, allow everything to soak in, and in due time, the answers will come back. The answers will come back. That's the true law of attraction, I believe, is just throwing stuff out there, throwing the questions out there, and allowing the answers to eventually come back. Because our questions determine the focus, the trajectory of the answers that will eventually come to us. That focus determines how we feel, and then our feelings determine how we experience life. Good feelings, bad feelings, indifferent feelings. These all have an impact on our life experience. Desire a relationship with the world. Think about that. What is your relationship with the world? What do you desire from the world? What relationship do you desire with the world? How do you view your space in this world? Your position, your role, your identity within this world? What enables you to reach people is another question that came to mind. What is it that enables you to reach people? You know, is it your looks, style, your voice, your intelligence, your ability to care and nurture? What is it? What is it? What enables you to reach people? What is your it factor? What is it you do that when you do it, people pay attention? What is your calling card? Raise the standard for caring, Tony Robbins. And I really saw that was evident in his documentary. Because, once again, his ability to cut through the nonsense, but more so, he shows that he cares. So when you show that you care, you're also able to cut through the nonsense. When you have that level of empathy and understanding, you're able to cut through what's not really important. So let's all raise the standard for caring. Let's show that we want to make a difference in people's lives, and show that we want to help to provide solutions to whatever problems they may be facing. Hopping over to the branding side a little bit, but not really too much. It's kind of connecting brand with what we just finished speaking about, talking about in regards to the world in general, our place in the world. And this may have been my favorite saying this past week. We are all brands because we are all here to leave our mark on the world. What do brands do? Brands leave marks. Brands leave marks. So when we see ourselves as a brand, an entity on this planet, a miracle, because being a human being in itself is truly a miracle, then we are able to see that we are branded. We are a brand on this planet. Our name is a brand since birth. One of the first things that has to be done is what? After the snipping of the umbilical cord, it's usually a name, right? We all have a name. We all have a name. our name is our brand. Our brand is the potential we have to leave a mark on the world. We are all brands because we are all here to leave a mark on the world. So what mark are you looking to leave on the world? What is your brand? What is your lover's ambition? I would really be curious to hear that. Send me some messages about that. Embrace your inner nutcase. Embrace your inner nutcase. We're all a little crazy inside. And it's okay. Because this is once again what makes us us. This is what makes our brand our brand. This is what allows us to leave our mark on the world. Our inner nutcase. It's all about growing out of our comfort zone, allowing our inner craziness to shine. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody in the process, it's all good. We all have our little nuances and quirks about us, quirkiness. That's what makes us us. It's all good. Embrace it in a nutcase. Alright? Next up, a little more branding, creating and curating content. Kind of goes with sharing our message with the world. Once we create content or curate content, put videos out, put posts out, write a book, whatever that is, in order to really add value, it's about engaging with the community that identifies, or the community that supports and discusses topics based around whatever content you're putting out. So, for example, if I'm putting out a book about pancakes, right? It's important for me to engage and interact with the pancake community, right? So a pancake can be seen as the subculture of maybe breakfast. People who love breakfast. And the bigger breakfast culture is people who love food. So there's a huge food culture on the internet. Instagram, right? Hashtag food. Hashtag anything having to do with food. And then from food, anything having to do with breakfast. From breakfast, anything having to do with pancakes. It's all about identifying the community. And then once you identify the community, you engage and interact with this discussion based around that community and the topics within the community. So if I have a book on pancakes, I'm going to want to engage in discussion around pancakes and Twitter search pancakes. What kind of pancakes people like. Where people going for pancakes. See what I'm saying? So you can literally take any topic and find the community that supports that topic, that theme, the lovers of that topic, that theme, sports fanatics, music fanatics, hip-hop fanatics, R&B fanatics, whatever the topic is, you can find a community based around that topic and engage in that community. And those who have products and services to offer, don't just pitch it out there, but, add value. And then, essentially, if you feel your product or service can add value to that community, that's when you share your product and service with people. And when you share your product and service with people in an authentic, genuine manner, that's when people want to support and see what you have. So, yeah, that's a little on the branding and marketing side. So I also had the pleasure last Wednesday, to be exact, the 17th, of meeting Yolanda Robinson, who's an author of a book entitled Don't Be Bitter, Be Better, which is a great book. I haven't started reading it yet. I would definitely hop into it. She was extracting a lot of different excerpts from the book, a lot of life lessons that anyone can connect to. And I met a lot of great people at this book reading. Also, of course, thankfully and gratefully was able to get a copy of the book, thanks to Mrs. Robinson. So it was great meeting everyone at that event. Don't be bitter, be better. Next up, feed your mind. Feed your mind. What are we doing to nourish our mental capacity? It's so easy to get stagnant and get lost without really nourishing and enriching our mind. So I just wanted to put that out as a reminder. Feed your mind, whether it's reading or watching a documentary or going outside, being a part of Mother Nature, going for a walk, going for a bike ride, going rollerblading. That's a tip right there. Rollerblading's about to be back in style, trust me. I'm going to look back at this video 3-5 years from now. You're going to see a lot of people on rollerblades. Back in 2009, when I was at Rutgers, I actually wrote an article about bicycling, which is on Facebook. Actually, my Let's Talk Life with Aquaus Kelley was one of my older pages, and it's crazy thinking about that page and seeing me do 7 days of wisdom now. So I've always kind of been on this path I'm on, but I did have a page. In fact, I'm going to share the page. Let's Talk Life with Aquaus Kelley. And on that page, I wrote an article about bike culture and how I saw it coming back as heavy as it's here with the bike lanes and everything. So that's very interesting to look back on. So I have to share that. So yeah, feed your mind. Read books, documentaries, read magazines, newspapers, whatever you feel you need to do to feed your mind and stay fresh and stay inspired and stay motivated and stay just on top of your game. Feed your mind. It's important. Let's see. Short-term versus long-term. What may not make sense in the short term ends up making sense in the long term. What really made me think of this is when I was doing Uber. You know, sometimes I would get a request from like 5 miles away where I would have to drive 8 miles, pick someone up, and let's say they were going 3 miles. So technically it's a loss. And we can even apply this to business Uber is technically business as well. So sometimes we have to take a loss in business just to set ourselves up for the win. So again, as an analogy, I drive 8 miles to pick someone up who's only going 3 miles. I lost 5 miles. It's a loss, financial loss. I'm not winning. However, after I drop that person off, I get pinged to pick someone up a mile away who was going 30 miles. So that short-term loss set me up for the long-term gain. So that's a pretty good example right there. And it happens in business all the time. Businesses taking a loss first year, second year, third year. Fourth, fifth year, they come back harder. And all of the losses that they have had to suffer, it's really not a suffer in the long term. When you look at it, it turns out to be a win. So don't be afraid of taking the short-term losses, because it's the short-term losses that allow us to pivot or see things a certain way it sets us up for the long term. So always keep the short term and long term in mind. Zoom in, zoom out. I forgot the name of the woman who wrote that article, but it's actually an article on zooming in and zooming out, having the leadership ability to know when to zoom in and when to zoom out. So that may be worth looking up. Can't believe I forget. Well, I can't believe actually that I forgot the name of it. So yeah, short term versus long term, rejection, again, and actually this. So earlier when I spoke about rejection and obsession, that came directly from the Tony Robbins documentary. But interestingly enough, about a week and a half ago, when I was in my kitchen, I literally thought to myself that without rejection, some of the biggest feats since the birth of humanity would have never been achieved. And again, I relate this to a lot of the greatest people in history. And if we really examine and study their lives, we can trace their success back to the rejections that they have had to overcome in their life. So rejection in itself is a large, very large part of success and setting ourselves up for success. Just like short-term failure is very important in regards to long-term success. So yeah, rejection, failure, it all sets us up for something better. It all sets us up for something better. Sharing our message with the world, and this is very important as well, because when we share our message with the world, we begin to attract opportunities that align with that message. That's why it's very important that we start to formulate a message or ask ourselves, what is our message? What is our platform? What are we meant to share with the world? Because through doing this, it allows us to attract opportunities. The reason why I decided to do these videos, although the quality is so terrible in 2016 going into 2017, is because it's important for me to put out messages to the world, share my message with the world, because through doing this, it allows me to resonate and identify with people who see life from a similar perspective, or may even see life from a very different perspective. But it allows me to establish a platform for myself where people can see me in my truest light in regards to my mission, my vision, what I feel my purpose and message is, and my reason for being on this planet is. And through doing this, people see it like, oh, I really see what he's doing. I resonate with it, I respect it, I admire it. And through that, it enables connection. It enables friendships, relationships, whether on a personal level or a business, professional level. Because it's all about seeing eye to eye. And when we can see eye to eye with someone, we want to provide them opportunities. You know, when we look at the work world, right? If I'm looking to hire someone, I'm going to look within my circle first, because within my circle are the people that I know through the relationships I've built. I know what they're about. I know what they stand for. I know what they do well. I know what they may not do well. I know what to expect. I have a sense of who they are as a human being. So through sharing our message with the world, whether it's on social, whether it's through videos on YouTube, it's a way of showing who we are as a person. And when we do that, we enable an open path for people to connect with us. So me doing this video is an open path for people to connect with me and my mission and my movement and what I'm doing for myself and what I'm doing for everyone involved, what I'm doing for the greater world at large, what I'm doing with the Lover's Ambition, what I'm doing to set people up for success, to provide people with the tools and resources and insight and advice and guidance to set them up for success. These are all ways to connect. And since I was very young, I've always had an affinity towards connecting puzzles, pieces, Legos, and building, constructing, and designing what I feel are structures. And instead of designing physical structures now, I see myself as more of a life enhancement architect in a way, brand architect in a cool way from the cultural perspective. A lot of people use that term, brand architect, especially from the entertainment world. So I'm no longer building physical structures, but I'm still building, helping to build lives, helping to make lives better, helping to build brands, build movements. That's my vision now. That's my mission. So yeah. Stop by Chloe on 22nd Street this past Friday, around the corner from Trader Joe's. Excellent vegan spot, one of my favorite vegan spots in the city. Kind of on the expensive side. The food is definitely good, clean. Super dope stores. Love the design and aesthetic. It's probably the best branded restaurant I've been to. I mean, it's set up super fantastic, tremendously. If you're ever in the city, looking for some food, want to try out some vegan eats, check out By Chloe, BYCHLOE, By Chloe. You can see it on my Instagram feed, Facebook feed if you want to check it out. So I definitely recommend that. I also ran into Rich Roll, who has his own podcast. I came across Rich Roll when he was interviewed on Lewis Howes' School of Greatness podcast. I was waiting for my food. I glance over, see a dude with glasses similar to mine, transparent glasses. I'm like, yo, dude looks like Rich Roll. So I'm like, is your name Rich Roll? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, oh, glad to meet you. I came across you via Lewis Howes' podcast. He's like, oh, right on. Lewis is my boy, man. So shout out to Rich Roll. I could tell he's a LA Cali dude just from the language he was using. Right on. So shout out to Rich Roll, man. Shout out to all of my vegan soul brothers, man. On my way back from the city Friday night, I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast, just revisiting a lot of stuff. On my way past the Google offices on, I think it's on 11th or 10th. It's right, the Google NYC offices are right across the street from Whole Foods Market, Chelsea Market. I think it's 10th. 10th Avenue. So yeah, on my way back, listening to Gary V. Don't let the fear of losing trump the excitement of victory. And I've heard this multiple times, but it stuck with me again. Don't let the fear of losing trump the excitement of victory. Victory is so exciting. Don't let fearing a loss trump that. Don't let fearing a loss trump the excitement of victory. Because the victory, the triumph, is worth it. It is worth it in the end. Lastly, earlier today, I thought about challenges and problems we face. And I thought to myself, for every problem we face, someone else is facing it. So the faster we can come up with a solution for ourselves, the faster we can provide solutions for others. When we can provide solutions for others, it helps us to really make an impact. This is how businesses are created. This is how changes are made. And this is what separates the winners from the people who are not winning. So let's embrace our problems, figure out solutions, apply the solutions to eradicate our problems. And just keep that cycle going. Keep that cycle going. 7 Days of Wisdom, A Lover's Ambition, Aquaus Kelley, signing off. Once again, episode 39, August 21st, 2016. It is now Sunday, 9:34 p.m. Eastern Daytime. Have an impactful week. I will see you all next week. Peace.